I'll say one of the most exciting things about the recent Artemis missions to the moon is the promise, maybe that's strong, the hope that we'll see humans living on bases of our celestial neighbor. But maybe we're jockeying for that real estate because a team of Ukrainian researchers say they've discovered evidence of a possible UFO base that is already on the moon. In a new study, researchers at Ukraine's main astronomical observatory say that they have found more than 20 UFOs, or UAPs as they're also called, moving near and across the moon over the course of 2025. The scientists apparently used a high-speed camera attached to a telescope to capture the objects, which can allegedly move at blinding speed. Researchers say they tracked one object moving at 4.1 miles a second. That's right around what the space shuttle needs for liftoff. And the researchers also say that they were able to use light to measure the size of the objects, which, by the way, are apparently massive. One of the objects allegedly measured about 25 miles across. You know, that's larger than the island of Manhattan. Now, all these claims are remarkable, but to be sure, got to make this point. How do they prove that there's a UFO base on the moon? Well, the researchers say that they observed the UFOs flashing lights in a multitude of patterns, which they believe suggests communication. And that behavior, that communication, is what led those scientists to say, quote, "We believe that the moon serves as a base for UFOs." All these claims do come with one major caveat, though. The study has yet to be peer-reviewed, which means other scientists have yet to come in to check the work. So these claims of massive UFO beings, part of a lunar base, they have yet to be substantiated. Should we be worried about, I don't know, a city-sized UFO descending to Earth from the moon? Here for a closer look is the Frank B. Baird Jr. Professor of Science at Harvard University and leader of the UAP Advisory Council for the U.S. government. Avi Loeb is here. Good to see you, Avi. Is there a moon base? What do you think?
I don't think so. Thanks for having me. There are better ways to observe the moon than using a single 6-inch telescope from Earth. For example, NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter has a huge amount of data on the surface of the moon. And moreover, 4 months ago, the Artemis 2 astronauts took thousands of images of the moon, including its far side, which is not visible from Earth. And needless to say, they did not observe any evidence for lunar-based UFOs.
Well, maybe they were not visiting at that time. These idea of the giant rings, right? They say giant rings may have like creating its own artificial gravity. By the way, the Apollo astronauts actually saw these mysterious lights and objects. So is it possible it just wasn't there? Is it? I mean, I can kind of understand why there would be a base, but I don't know.
Well, the problem with data from a small telescope on Earth is that lots of objects and atmospheric disturbances could pass in front of the moon during the observation period. And it's necessary to measure the distance in order to know that you're dealing with an object next to the moon and not next to Earth. And one way to do that is by having multiple telescopes looking at the same object so they can triangulate its distance. That's what we do in the Galileo Project observatories under my leadership. You know, without knowing distances, this paper does not hold water, so to speak. And the UAP Science Advisory Council that I chair is advocating for distance measurements in order to infer the nature of UAP, unidentified anomalous phenomena. And actually, together with one of the members today, Dr. Devesh Nandal, we were able to resolve an unresolved UAP case disclosed by the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office in the Pentagon. And it's a hypersonic missile. That's what we inferred it to be. We used the trick to do that. We had the background terrain observed in the images, so we could use it as a grid to localize the object using Google Maps.
Just to jump in, what do you mean? This was a hypersonic missile where and when, and that you discovered this?
Yeah, so this is in Africa,
okay.
And we found the location by comparing to Google Earth maps, images. So we tilted the image from Google Earth and got it to match the infrared images that were shown in the video from the Department of War. So then we could track the motion of the object relative to features on the ground. We could also track the motion of the camera relative to these features on the ground. So we could infer both the motion of the camera, the motion of the object, and the only unknown was the altitude of the object. But we could constrain that as well, and we ended up finding that the characteristic size of the object and the velocity of the object are consistent with hypersonic missiles. And so we did a better job than ARROW, the all-domain anomaly resolution.
If you have your hand in it, I'm not surprised that you do a better job. I do have a question, though, just circling back to this potential UFO base. So it needs to be peer-reviewed. How would that be peer-reviewed? What would be the way to officially confirm whether or not what this is? You talked about the telescopes. Is there any other way to validate what they're claiming in any way?
Yeah, very easily. Just employ a second telescope of this. I mean, they're using a 6-inch telescope, which is not very expensive. We can use thousands of those around the globe. And if all of them show the same object at a distance of the moon, which you can tell because you observe the object from different directions on Earth, that would be a very easy way to tell if this is real or just atmospheric effects, or some bird running in front of the telescope. Now, I should say, Popular Mechanics released today a podcast discussion by editors with the following question: does Avi Loeb know something the rest of us don't?
Ooh, and the answer is?
For the record, my answer to this question is no.
And I trust you. I trust you on that, Dr. Avi Loeb. Good to see you, sir. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.